Okay, so I kind of have a cat and also recorded a video incorrectly. What's going on, guys? My name is Tommy. It's time for the right episode of min-maxing for fun and profit. I had some help from some friends to talk about how advantage works, because that's how I thought Halfling luck in 2nd edition worked, and I was very wrong, and I caught it at the last second, which is good, because otherwise I would have just made a complete fool of myself on the internet, and that's what we're all about anyway. But that feat is still really good. The feat is still probably the best reaction in 2nd edition, at least in like the top 3. And the way the meta is set up, it can be kind of essential to your survival. And there have been plenty of people on the channel who've been like, the amount of halfling orphanages is too damn high. And we're here to explain mechanically that stuff is good. If you're liking what you're seeing, remember to like, subscribe, and ding the bell. Today, it's a special patron shout out, because I can't do this one alone because I'm Cha-based and I don't know how math works. So I had to tag in one of my patrons. Trees of Probability, I believe, is what we're talking about today. So today I am joined by the man, the myth, the Gorilla King, old Mahogany from the Discord, and thank you for your support, my friend. And I guess with no further ado, in we go. Okay, so for the feat in question, Halfling Luck. It's triggered when you fail a check or save. You can re-roll, but must take the second result, even if the second result is worse. Oftentimes, mechanically, the best thing you can do in a world where fumbling something means you're taking double damage, but I think Mahogany can explain that a little better than I can, so I'm just gonna turn it over to him.
Okay, I'm a math major, have a lot of fun with it. One of the ways to show how useful dice math is to compare your different probabilities in different situations. For example, say you need to roll an 18 or higher to succeed on a saving throw. Normally, that would mean you have about a 15% chance of success. With Halfling Luck, so you have a 15% chance of success and 85% chance of failure. 85% of the time, you have the option to re-roll that. So you succeed another 15% of that 85%. You have to multiply the percents out, and you get like these branching tiers of all your different options. But the end result of that is that you go from a 15% chance of success to a 27.75% chance of success. So it is a drastic increase.
Just about double, yeah. And that's huge in a world where, should you happen to fail something, most of the saver dies, as I understand them, are like, on a failure, this bad thing happens to you. On a fumble, you've died. To say nothing of the 10d6 fireball that's like gunning into your face that will then do double damage should you fumble that save.
The math on critical failures is a bit weirder. On an 18 plus, you go from a 40% chance to a 34% chance. On a 17 plus, you go from a 35 to a 28. On a 16 plus, you go from a 30 to a 22.5. On a 15 plus, you go from a 25 to a 17.5. From a 14 plus, you go from a 20% to a 13%. And on a 13 plus, you go from a 15% to a 9%. So how you get that math is you start off with whatever your chance of failure in general is, and you multiply that chance by the chance of a crit fail.
Okay, that makes sense. So then why is the second number then lower than the first? Like, if I needed to roll a 13, and then I missed the 13 the first time, and then I roll again.
So if you succeed, you obviously don't re-roll.
Right.
So we take that chunk out. Then if you fail, you're probably going to choose to re-roll. You don't really look at the first probability of failure in this case for a crit fail, because you're re-rolling it if it's a fail or a crit fail, probably. An important thing to point out is that the earlier crit fail chances I was discussing were specifically in reference to if you would take a reaction on any failure. But if you reserve your Halfling Luck for only critical failures, the changes are much more drastic. In the case of where you needed to roll a 13 plus to succeed, you would critically fail 15% of the time. That goes from 15% to 2.25%. If you need to roll a 14 plus, you have a 20% chance of critically failing. It goes from 20% to 4%. For a 15 plus, you had a 25%, it goes down to 6.25. 18 plus, it went from a 40% to a 16%. So in all of these cases, until you're almost always critically failing, this makes a drastic reduction to where you have, like, under half the chance to sometimes next to no chance of critically fumbling.
Good enough for me?
But what it is that, for example, on the 13 plus, you only have a 60% chance of wanting to reroll. And out of that 60%, there was, if I remember right, a 15% chance that on that reroll you will critically fail. Because you crit fail on a 3, 2, or 1. So 60% of the time you have a chance to crit fail, and then 15% of that chance you do crit fail.
Okay, that makes sense. So then the second number is smaller because we're cutting out the 1, 2, 3.
Like, there are fewer times we're re-rolling in total, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
On the note of critically succeeding, if you have to nat 20, you almost double your chance of critically succeeding when you have to re-roll on not a nat 20.
So the ancestry feats that I've been getting so much flack for, they only get better and better. As with the release of the Lost Omens character guide and shared luck coming down, now a halfling or someone adopted by halflings who took that could use their reaction to cause you to reroll, meaning you could feasibly reroll several times in a given round.
That's fair. Like, if you've got, like, a death effect coming down.
Or, like, in my experience with 2nd edition, and it's frankly not as much as it could be. I played more in the playtest than I did in 2e. So far, the highest level party I've had is 4th, but, like, it's a really brutal game. If you fumble to a trap at low level play, it killed you. I watched Ohm not see a spear trap, step on the spear trap, and die. Sure, at first it only starts out at once a day, but again, the Lost Omens character guide gives us the ability to then do that once per hour.
Yeah, that is a huge difference.
And of course, your GM can be like, I will send everyone right now. You got 45 minutes of rest. Haha. But at least in the published stuff that exists so far, that hour of downtime is there after all the encounters. I know this because I'm running Age of Ashes, and everyone has had the ability to get their spell points back. And the difference between 10 minutes and 1 hour in the grand scheme of we're going to sit down for a minute kind of isn't a whole heck of a lot of much. Now, of course, this video is for optimization's sake. That is what we are talking about here. We're not talking about what necessarily fits the character. We're not necessarily talking about, like, what you want to take. We're talking about mechanically what is a very good choice. Certainly, if you want to take this but not be adopted by halflings, we can always flavor, and turn it into something else. The thing about being lucky is it could come anywhere from your god or goddess really likes you to at some point you picked up a shiny copper piece and now you're real good at stuff. But also, like, this is not a thing that I would shove down anybody's throats if they don't want to take it. That's why right now we're basically just talking about class feats on min-maxing for fun and profit. If you don't want this, don't take it. Ronos isn't going to take it. I decided I'd rather Ronos be able to speak to his animal companion and also climb on walls. Does that mean I might die over the course of Age of Ashes? Maybe. I'm a little worried. But it's definitely something you don't, like I said, have to take. But welcome to the shortest min-maxing for fun and profit of all time. Thank you to Mahogany for coming out and helping me explain this in a much better way than I could by, like, jumping on Google and being like, why is this good? Search. And then reading something to you. It turns out Gaston was kind of right. There are dragons in this game, but there's also math. Next week on min-maxing for fun and profit, we're gonna do something kind of like this. I'm actually recording it probably right around this time this video comes out. One of my other patrons wanted to talk about magic item creation, and that's another thing I understand enough to tell you, but when you can grab another nerd to help explain it, so much the better. Anyway, thank y'all for watching. Let me know how you're feeling about it down in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll be back at it next week.